Royalties tied to a popular song released by music artist Rihanna were offered in tokenized form yesterday through a Web3 music startup called Anotherblock. Each token represents reportedly 0.0033% of the streaming revenue for the song, which has already seen more than 1 billion plays on streaming services and has gone platinum. The token, of which there are 300, also reportedly sold out in minutes. This is a particularly interesting story to me because this sort of tokens as fractionalized revenue stream use case has actually been one of the most attractive reasons for rights holders and artists to create a token that goes beyond just being a digital collectible. But as usual, there's a hitch. At least in the US, where the securities regulator is on the hunt for ever more power, the act of using a token in this fashion has been viewed as one of the more clear-cut examples of when an NFT is pretty obviously an investment. I don't know all the details on how that's being handled in this situation, but it's just worth noting. Jen, pop culture, NFTs, and now a split of revenue. Actually, I see you, Zach, over there. Why don't we go to you, Zach, for kind of first thoughts on this one?
Wow, Zach just rugged me on this one.
I definitely rugged you. Sorry about that. Royalties are different, dog. Royalties are different. There is a different statutes around how loyalties can be divvied up and shared. So the space is tightly prescribed by existing legal stricture. And so therefore you've seen like Web3 royalties emerge as the thing rather than sort of like revenue sharing more broadly. So you have like Royal, you have a bunch of other ones. This is in that vein. Just wanted to offer that and then toss it back to Jen.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting. I think there are a lot of projects that are trying to do this in the entertainment and music space, but there are also some that are trying to do it in the sports space. I did some work for a project that is allowing athletes to use NFTs to fractionalize their season's winnings so that they can get a bulk amount of money to do whatever they need to do, whether they need to fund their training or whatever. And so I think this is really interesting. I think we're going to see more projects like this in the next bull cycle. The most interesting part of the story to me was that collectors get a real-world legal contract specifying the terms of the streaming royalties and guaranteeing real-world ownership for the NFT holder. I haven't seen this in any of the other projects, and I think that that real-world contract is a really important part of the piece that's been missing. And so it will be interesting to see how the like digital world, the NFT world, and the real world legal contract thing kind of plays out. But I think that that's the missing piece. And I think that that might make this, you know, a front runner when we talk about some of the other projects. Another interesting part of this for me is that Rihanna's actually not involved at all. So this is one of the producers on the song. There are a bunch of other people who are involved in making the song and get royalties from this. And he's been able to, you know, create a community around the piece that he owns. And I think it's really cool for fans. You know, I think it's a different way to interact with the song. They can say they have, you know, some ownership in the song. It may incentivize them to play the song more often, getting more money back to that producer. Zach, I'll kick it back to you. Give us more of your take.
I gave my take. I mean, Adam, I'm gonna toss it back to you because I saw you trying to get back in on it. So let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of things that are interesting here, kind of beyond what we've talked about so far. First off, the tokens themselves cost like $200 or something like that. So if you're looking at this as a way to own a thing and to feel like you're part of something that's culturally important to you, that feels like that's a pretty accessible price point for it. And again, when you're talking about, you know, like, hey, here's NFTs typically, and then here's what this is, where there's actually a revenue stream attached to it, then again, like, it's just obvious that were this not controversial from a legal and regulatory perspective, this is how a lot of this stuff would already be going. It just makes so much sense. I think to your point, Jen, you know, like, people feeling like they have a stake in the thing, like that's a thing that people talk about. They, you know, again, so like from a just kind of word of mouth promotion thing, not that this song particularly needs it, that's also something that seems quite compelling here. As far as the security status of these types of things are concerned, typically what it is it's not necessarily the royalty stream, although that can be one of the problematic elements. It's actually the fractionalization that winds up being the problem. Because just like with the SEC action we were talking about earlier in the show, as it relates to staking services, it's not necessarily staking that's problematic. It's the company that's managing and aggregating the staking and making it easy. And it's much the same here with royalties. It's that you, as a person who owns the token, typically, not necessarily in this case, again, I don't know a ton of details about this one, but typically you would be relying on the company that is administering those royalty flows to actually make sure that you get paid. It's not like this is a smart contract that's going to do it automatically with no hands involved. There will be hands involved. And I mean, also to the extent that there are individual contracts being signed on a per user basis, who actually holds this thing, well, again, that means that there's execution risk. There's some, again, like there's just a bunch of moving parts in the thing that make it so that it winds up being a more clear-cut case, really, for NFTs to be considered securities, really, than most other things that we typically see. So I don't know. Like I said, I really like this use case. It's one where I spent a couple of years, maybe 3-4 years, talking with a lot of artists and a lot of rights holders. And this was the thing that they always wanted to do. And you had to tell them, yeah, I know you want to do that and people want to buy that, but you can't do that because it'll have these legal repercussions that'll come for you. So it's nice to see that people are either breaking through those, you know, by not accepting US purchasers or some other way. But again, good to see these types of use cases coming up, and I hope that we see more of them.
You know, I think the timing here makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, this is trying to capitalize on that attention. You know, we see it often in crypto, and I think Rihanna coming up with the Super Bowl halftime show, the timing is right to get out these NFTs, these royalty things. And also, like, I know we talked about this the other day, right? Like the Super Bowl allegedly banned crypto ads, or all the crypto ads fell through. That's not even true. Like, there's going to be an NFT ad, like a free NFT drop during the Super Bowl. Like, that's one of the ads. I thought that was just like a funny note in addition to the Rihanna story. But Jen, I'll give it to you. What are your thoughts?
I was going to say, imagine having this NFT. So the song is called Bad Word, Better Have My Money, right? And you have the NFT. So now every time you play it, you get the money. What a great, like, someone should make that ad. I want this producer to go out and make a video of someone listening to this and just lip syncing that they better have their money. But Zach, to your point on that NFT ad, I think if there was any crypto company that could show up during the Super Bowl without a bad feeling, it would be an NFT company. I just think it's kind of like a bad look. I don't think crypto companies should be spending money right now, but if you're giving away NFTs, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of okay. You seem like you disagree, Zach.
I think there's going to be much backlash. I think the cringe factor is high for free tokens being given out on the TV. But
what do people get?
Hey, maybe not.
What's the story? Do we know? What do people get with this free NFT?
We don't know.
Okay,
we don't know.
I changed. Cringeworthy. I'm with you now.
All right.
Yeah, I changed.
Nailed it.